the Niners made. And that is exactly what he should be paid. 12th, 13th best quarterback in the league. $45 million. If he had a bad defensive coach and a bad set of weapons, he really would be Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback. But he doesn't. He has Kyle Shanahan. Arguably, after Andy Reid, the best play designer in the league. George Kittle was the number 1 rated tight end on PFF. Jawan Jennings was the 13th best tight end or receiver. And they won 6 games. And he's also had 2 elbow injuries and 1 elbow surgery. So there are things here. He's not a big athlete. He's a moderately sized quarterback with a couple elbow injuries, 1 surgery, that last year has a great play designer, but they were missing their star running back, and they won 6 games. So my $45 million feels right. If you go look at his splits against elite playoff teams, they're not very good. I mean, Josh Allen's the MVP. He's making $44 million a year. $45 million feels right. So, and again, too many fans think contextualization is hate. I've never hated Dak Prescott. What I tried to always do with Dak Prescott was contextualize it. He is not to be paid close to Mahomes because he's not close to Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Jalen Hurts. And we've all sort of had some questions about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts does a couple of things extraordinarily well. What's Dak do extraordinarily well? Now he has a second lower body injury. Never been a great spin it guy from the pocket. You can't pay him $90 million. You can't pay him that. That's his salary. That's his, what is that, $90 million this year? Now they're going to rework it. It'll probably get down to 50 or 55 or 60. But too many fans confuse context for hate. Nobody hates Brock Purdy. Good kid. $45 million to Brock Purdy. I don't know what happened in the last year. That became an insult. So what? Well, $45 million for the last guy picked in the draft who has a losing record and bad splits against playoff teams with 2 elbow injuries, 1 a surgery. And $45 million's an insult? And I love Sam Darnold, but I'd struggle paying him $45 million. He's bigger. He's got a better arm. He moves better. And he was a first-round pick. And I couldn't pay Sam $45 million. So here was Steve Young on Rich Eisen this week on why the deal will eventually get done.
It gets done. Like it has to get done. There's not alternatives out there. He can threaten, he can move around, he can do all the things you do, and he can process as well as anybody. So in that way, quarterbacks are so hard to find that Brock has done enough for sure to go out and get paid and get it done.
Now, I will say this. I don't think quarterbacks are as hard to find today as they were 15 to 20 years ago. I mean, you found Brock Purdy as the last pick in the draft. So I think Kyle McCord at Syracuse, who will get drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round, is going to end up being a franchise quarterback for somebody. I mean, Kirk Cousins was a 4th-round pick. There's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. Never been more good young quarterbacks. Never been more great quarterback coaching. Rachel Nichols in studio. If you feel like owning a home's out of reach, no, it's not. Call 800-4-ROCKET. Go to rocket.com. Rocket believes the American dream should be available for everybody. Call 800-4-ROCKET. Hour 2 next.
Just picking up the game when I was a little kid and just having a love for the sport and was hoping that someday I'd be able to play at the highest level. And I've been able to do that and really enjoy it, and really enjoy my career. So it's definitely an honor. It's pretty cool to see that.
I hope everybody's appreciating it. It's really crazy. Listen.
It's tough for me to think of a league without LeBron at this point. He's been dominant for 20 years now?
People just forget this. Like, I loved MJ. Everybody loved MJ. But MJ retired and did baseball. Then MJ came back. And then Jay went to Washington. Michael's career was moments of brilliance and a lot of turbulence. I mean, he came into the league He couldn't get along with coaches. He was running through coaches. He got Doug Collins. He liked him. They couldn't win. He couldn't beat the Pistons, Celtics. Then Michael had that Phil Jackson run. And he went and did baseball. And Michael came back, lost to Orlando. Then he went in another 3-year run. And he went to Washington. Michael's career was not as linear as people think. LeBron's it's just like the only bad spot for LeBron was his first team. That's the only time LeBron hasn't won. His first team that was inept in the front office, inept in ownership.
And then he still got them to the finals when he was 22.
Yeah, and they got, I think, swept by the Spurs, a great Spurs team. But it's interesting. It's the opposite of Jordan. The only time LeBron has really struggled as part of a unit is the first team. Since then, when LeBron has taken control of his career, Miami, Cleveland, Los Angeles, he is over-delivered.
Yeah. You know how a lot of these child actors kind of really struggle later in life? It's so many of them from TV shows in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because the fame at an early age and the money, it just distorts you. This guy was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I believe, at 16 years old.
But you know why?
He has never got in trouble with the law.
But that doesn't happen a lot in sporps. Bryce Harper's a world-class. He's a great guy, great husband.
He's lived up to the expectations.
LeBron James. And you know why? Because sports gives you a purpose. You're not some Hollywood weirdo who does a couple of movies and has nothing but spare time on your hands. In sports, it gives you a purpose. It gives you a direction. You're part of a community. It's not just you making movies. It's not you writing scripts or directing. It is you being part of a community. You have to be accountable to coaches, your teammates, the trainers, yourself, the diet. So I think sports is something you don't, there's a lot of these young stars. Very rarely do we look at a 16-year-old and go, that's going to be a superstar.
But it is a lot of pressure on a TV.
There's Phil Mickelson,
back in the day,
Tiger,
Sports Illustrated mattered. Like, that was everything. Yeah, I got it in the mailbox every week, and you open it up and you read it. Can you imagine at 16? And now, here we are, 24 years later, and he's still on top of the sports world.
I mean, a big knock on LeBron, which was silly, is, China, that was that China thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, he's a businessman. He wanted to make sure it was all good. Like, take a deep breath, everybody. This guy doesn't get in trouble. This guy is.
And his son had a great bucket last night. You see Bronny with the score in traffic?
Yeah. Okay.
What?
Whatever.
What?
Whatever.
You got problems?
I'm not going to say anything.
He scored. He's averaging like 23 in the G League.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Bad topic. J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
I'll tell you, losing has value. The New York Knicks can't beat the good teams. Why that has value? Live in L.A., it's The Herd.